Hey everyone, today we're diving into one of the cooler mechanics in Crimson Desert, the Frost element. Sure, swinging swords, firing muskets, or throwing in some grappling moves is fun, but adding elemental damage takes your combat game to a whole new level. Frost might seem tricky to get at first, but once you know the steps, it's actually a pretty rewarding challenge. From icy attacks that slow down enemies to combining it with your favorite skills, this element can seriously change how you approach battles. So, how do you actually get Frost? Well, it starts with taking on Prriscus the Ancient, a fight that's as epic as it sounds. After that, you'll need to tackle all the Abyss puzzles linked to the element. Don't worry, we'll go through them step by step so you won't miss a thing. By the end of this guide, you'll be freezing your enemies in their tracks like a true master of the Frost element. Let's jump right in.
A very small portion of the audience is subscribed to the channel.
If you enjoy these types of
Please don't forget to subscribe if you like these types of videos.
Enjoy watching.
Thanks.
So, first things first, if you want to get your hands on the Frost element in Crimson Desert, you are going to need to head over to the Spire of Ringing Truth in West Pyloon. The Spire's interior is completely under construction, so it is not as simple as walking straight to the top. You will have to use all the planks and scaffolding you can find to make your way up. A really handy tip here is to use the Axiom Force's aerial maneuver ability. It lets you pull yourself up to different floors, which is a huge help when climbing this massive tower. Technically, you do not need the grapple hook, but trust me, it will make your climb much faster and less frustrating. Once you finally reach the top, your goal is the giant bell. Look around for the rotting planks still holding it up, then aim your Axiom Force at them. When you hit the planks, a short cutscene will play where the bell crashes through the tower floor, giving you access to the basement below. From there, you are officially on your way to unlocking the Frost element. It is a bit of a climb, but the payoff is absolutely worth it once you get that icy power in your hands. Alright, now comes the real challenge, defeating Prriscus the Ancient in the basement of the Spire of Ringing Truth. This flying mage is no joke, so make sure you are prepared before stepping into the arena. Stock up on food, equip gear that is at least refinement level 5, and make sure you have the Nature's Snare skill and the Nature's Retribution sub-skill unlocked. Skipping these preparations will make the fight way harder than it needs to be. Prriscus loves to stay airborne for almost the entire battle, zipping around the arena while summoning cubes that shoot laser beams at you. These lasers can make the fight feel overwhelming if you try to go in recklessly. The key here is to deal as much stagger damage as possible, forcing him to land so you can really start putting pressure on him. The best way to stagger Prriscus is by using your Nature's Snare and Nature's Retribution combo. When he summons the cubes to fire lasers, trigger Nature's Snare to absorb all incoming attacks, then immediately fire them back at him with Nature's Retribution. This reflects massive damage while keeping you safe, but be careful. The timing can be tricky, especially with the faster laser animations. Not all lasers need to be absorbed. If a beam is aimed straight down at you, it is usually easier to dodge by rolling left or right. Focus your counter on the cubes that appear around Prriscus when he flies high into the air. This is your perfect window to trigger Nature's Snare and hit him hard with reflected damage. Prriscus also has a dive bomb move where he summons black smoke bombs around him. When he launches downward, dodge the initial impact and roll towards him to avoid the explosions. This creates a great opportunity to deal direct damage, especially if you do not yet have Nature's Snare unlocked or if your spirit is low. Timing here is everything. Finally, keep an eye on when Prriscus moves to the center of the arena and becomes invulnerable. Stop attacking during this phase and either sprint around the arena or use Nature's Snare if you have enough spirit to absorb his laser barrage. Once he is finally defeated, take the teleporter up to the Abyss and celebrate. You've cleared one of the toughest steps to unlocking the Frost element. Once you teleport to the Abyss, your next task is the Versatility puzzle, and it is quite the climb. Start by using the fans around the spinning tower to glide into the first opening. When you land, you will notice a circular switch above the cage in the center. Use it to rotate the cage. Keep turning it until you create a doorway that leads to a fan inside, then ride the fan upward to continue your ascent. As you climb higher, you'll reach a room that seems to have no doors at first glance. Look for a wall with a large circular hole in the middle and use Nature's Grasp to raise that section. Wait until Nature's Snare runs out so the wall locks in place, revealing a hidden switch. Hit the switch with your Axiom Force to spin the room and create a makeshift doorway to move forward. Keep ascending the tower until you reach a room filled with several fans and a floating Abyss core. Grab the Abyss core and carry it to the opening at the top of the room. Place it on the pedestal with the floating cube above it. then walk up the cables to the top of the building. Use the large fan there to glide across the gap and land on the circular switch on the next island. Finally, perform a force palm strike on the switch to complete the puzzle, which will trigger the triangular gate leading to the next island. But don't get too comfortable yet. You'll need to navigate a small platforming section right after. Use the visione to see invisible, moving platforms and ride them carefully to reach the next abyss puzzle. This section is tricky but really rewarding once you make it through. When you arrive at the Frostbitten Paradise puzzle, the first thing you want to do is grab the cube that's shooting out a laser beam. Carry it in front of the switch so the beam actually hits it. Keep in mind you cannot move this cube with your axiom force, so you'll need to pick it up and carry it manually. This little step gets the barrier to drop so you can enter the long hallway ahead. Once inside the hallway, step on the square pressure plate directly to your left. This will move the floor in the center of the hall, revealing another hallway you can drop into. Hop down, grab the rectangular abyss core and slot it into the receptacle next to the barrier. Doing this will lower yet another barrier on the left side of the hall. Over by this new barrier, you'll find another beam cube. Pick it up and place it by the yellow switch where you jumped down earlier. This action will deactivate the shield by the moving platform along the right side of the hall. Now, ride the moving platform down the rest of the hall and carefully jump across the gap to the opening on the right. Be careful not to fall into the pit below. You'll have to redo the entire puzzle if that happens. Inside this next room, there's a square abyss core and another beam cube. Grab the abyss core and remove it from the podium to make the conveyor belt move towards you until it stops. Then take the beam cube and place it facing south on the conveyor belt. Put the abyss core back on its podium to reverse the conveyor belt's direction. The cube will move to the adjoining room and activate the switch there. Follow the hallway next to the conveyor belt into the adjoining room and walk through the newly lowered barrier to retrieve the beam cube you just used to activate the moving platform. Carry it back into the conveyor belt room and place it on the podium next to one of the two big yellow switches to activate it. Now, remove the abyss core from its podium to reverse the conveyor belt back towards you. Take the beam cube off and place it on the other raised platform across from the second yellow switch. Go into the newly opened room, grab the rectangular abyss core, and bring it into the room with the two beam cubes. It's time to reverse some of the previous steps. Place the beam cube back on the conveyor belt to activate the switch that lowers the shield to the adjoining room. Then, bring the second cube back to the switch that controls the barrier in the moving platform hallway. Place the rectangular abyss core in that hall to set things up for the final steps. Next, put the beam cube back on the initial podium where you found it at the start of the puzzle. Ride the moving platform all the way to the end and slot the rectangular abyss core into its receptacle. This action will activate a teleporter, letting you move up to the room above. Once in the upper room, hit the big switch on the floor with a force palm strike. This will complete the puzzle mechanics and allow you to collect your abyss artifact. This step officially finishes the Frostbitten Paradise puzzle. Finally, head to your right and follow the traversal section. You're now on your way to the final puzzle for the frost element. After all that cube carrying, platforming, and conveyor belt juggling, you're almost at the finish line for unlocking this icy power. For the final abyss puzzle, the Path of Trials, things get intense. Once you pass through the tall gates beyond the abyss gate, the temperature will drop fast and you'll start taking damage from the cold. To survive, you'll need to activate and follow a series of torches to stay warm. Think of it as a freezing platforming challenge where timing and positioning are everything. Start by jumping down and following the torches to the northeast side of the room with several floating platforms. Climb up the wall, head left through the door, and go up the icy ramp to reach the generator. Rip the rectangular abyss core off the generator, then go down the stairs and take your first left into the furnace room. Inside the furnace room, climb the wall and follow the path until you see a slot on the ground for a square abyss core and the frozen abyss core next to it. Grab the frozen core and dunk it in the lava pool in the corner. Leave it there until all the ice melts, then quickly bring it back to its slot. You'll need to move fast because the core will start freezing again. Once it's in place, use a force palm to secure it. Finally, climb up above where you slammed the abyss core and hit the circular switch with a force palm to complete the puzzle. Grab the abyss artifact above the switch, you'll get a free skill point and most importantly, officially unlock the frost element. After all that climbing, fighting and puzzle solving, you finally have the icy power in your hands. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.